it doesn't look like he's progressed in 4 years. It looks like he's the same guy, the same abilities. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master Football, back at it again. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for being here. If you've never been here before, this is Jake with Master Football, pro football, college football, video game football, anything related to American football we discuss in the show right now. Please, 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 please hit the subscribe button. Hit it, make it red. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Anything like that drives engagement. I really appreciate all of that. Without further ado, let's get into the video. I have a friend who is a Nebraska fan, who was at the Nebraska and Ohio State game last week. Let's go over that really quickly just because it feeds into my story, which is a question about our dear friend, Mr. Scott Frost. So here we are, final 26-17, the number 5 Ohio State Buckeyes on the road at Nebraska in the Sea of Red. It was ultimately turned out to be a 26-17 game, but you have to remember here, man, look down here at this. So you see down here about, what is this, about the third quarter almost, something like that, fourth quarter. So you see that it was a one-score game going into the fourth quarter, and up until about 1 minute and 29 seconds left, it was still a one-score game. Back and forth, ultimately, they did not pull out the victory. Ohio State had 495 yards. They can move the ball on anybody, but again, turn the ball over twice. Ohio State had more of a possession, but Nebraska fought hard, and I want to keep in mind that they fought really, really hard, weren't able to pull it out. So that is not a very surprising story if you've been watching Nebraska football at all this season. Okay, fight really hard, really, really competitive. They can play with anybody, but they can't play with anybody and have more points with them at the end of the 4 quarters. So they've just been having issues there. I mean, if you check out their schedule, we'll check it out real quick just to see what we're talking about. So you see here, week 1, I watched this game. I had a friend who was an Illinois fan, and he doesn't even like college football because Illinois sucks. But this game, you see here, 30-22. They beat Fordham, yay. They beat Buffalo, yay. They had a 7-point loss to Oklahoma at Oklahoma. That was right before Spencer Rattler was taken out. Spencer Rattler was taken out a couple of games later when they played Texas. So then, the offense was kind of in transition there. And then you see the Michigan State loss at Michigan State in overtime. And Michigan State's a top flight team, although they just lost this last week. And then you see they went to, and they played Northwestern, beat the hell out of them. They played Michigan at home to a 3-point loss. They played Minnesota on the road to a 3-point loss. They played Purdue at home to a 5-point loss. And then they were only down 6, only down 6 in the fourth quarter against Ohio State late in the game. So you see, I mean, what is that? That's a 5-point loss, 7-point loss, 3-point loss, 3-point loss, 7-point loss, and 8-point loss. So there's, if they flip those, now again, I know that's crazy if they flip all those games, but this is a really, really good team, but they just haven't been able to pull those games out. Here we are on Lincoln Journal star Stephen M. Sipple. If Trev Alberts, the AD, is looking for reasons to keep Frost, he saw plenty on this day. It says right here, if Alberts is indeed looking for reasons to keep Frost, he saw plenty of them Saturday, even though Nebraska once again came up short against an elite opponent, this time dropping 26-17 decision to 6th-ranked Ohio State before 84,426 at Memorial Stadium. Alberts, in an October 12th article, said, "You have to start with the fight." Alberts took this position in July. He's most likely still assessing parts of Frost's program. As he does so, he's made it clear that he wants to see a team that fights hard and plays clean. On this day, he definitely saw a team that fights hard. In fact, what we saw from Nebraska in many ways was inspiring. Along those lines, we should be done questioning whether this Nebraska team at 3-7 overall and 1-6 in the Big Ten will show up for a fight. If you saw this program in 2017, a year before Frost took over as head coach, you'll notice it's not a given that a team will keep battling to the season's end. The Huskers in 2017 mailed it in down the stretch. This team shows no signs of that. And yes, that means something in the program building process. To keep in mind, Ohio State is 8-1, 6-0 in the Big Ten, entered the day averaging 47.2 points per game. 2 games ago, OSU led Indiana 44-7 at halftime. The Buckeyes can light up a scoreboard in a hurry. We love each other too much to not lay our hearts on the line. The Nebraska sophomore defensive end Garrett Nelson, referring to the entire roster, not just the defense. It was a very different here, and when I got here, in a bad way. So for Scott Ross, and again, if you're a Nebraska fan, you know this. You're like, yeah, dude, like iterative improvement. We're 3-7, but like, man, like Can we just please just put it together for 4 quarters against a good team and finish those games? I mean, think about that. Overtime loss to Michigan State on the road, the 5-point loss to Minnesota. There's certain times they just can't move the ball, or they just can't punch it in, or they just can't get a stopper, and whatever, here and there and here and there. I don't know. I have my suspicions as to what I think the reasoning being is, and I actually think it's from Scott Frost's first recruiting class, his most prized possession. So here we are on Nebraska 2018 football commits. This was the very first class that Scott Frost had coming in. And you see here that the number 23 class overall, you have the number 7 QB in the country, the number 7 dual threat QB in the country, Mr. Adrian Martinez. So he has never known not having Adrian Martinez as his quarterback. There was some times that it was Luke McCaffrey, who was kind of a running back, who was kind of like a quarterback. He was kind of a slash guy, this and that. So Adrian's not a super strong passer. He's been a dual threat when he came out, but he's not a dynamic arm talent, and you can see that with some of his stats. So his stats right now, and again, you see this right now, he is 15th in yards in the NCAA, but again, 50th in touchdowns, 103rd in interceptions. That's bad, and I know that it's you want that to be a low number, because the higher this is, if it's like 120 or 130, that means you have a lot of interceptions. So he's thrown a lot of interceptions, hasn't thrown very many touchdowns. They've been able to move the ball, man. I mean, they know that they had that Northwestern just drubbing where they killed them, but they just haven't been able to put it together. And I do think that a big aspect of that is I want to see Scott Frost post Adrian Martinez. I want to see him have his own guy. I don't want to see him have to worry about, this blue chip player that he has to keep in mind and he has to work his game plan around. He can drop his own thing. You can see that from several of his teams, he's done really good jobs with, the ability to maneuver around with certain players. So you check out his coaching career here, and this is his Wikipedia page, but it says right here, after Chip Kelly departed Oregon, the University of Oregon promoted Mark Helfrich to head coach, and Scott Frost was later officially announced as offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach on January 31st, 2013. In 2014, Frost was a finalist for the Broyles Award, given to the nation's top assistant. That season, his protege, Marcus Mariota, won the Heisman Trophy en route to a berth in the national championship game. In his 3 seasons as Ducks offensive coordinator, Oregon recorded a 33-8 record and finished every year amongst the top 6 teams in terms of both scoring offense and total offense. He then goes on to indicate that he took over for UCF, and when he took over for UCF, George O'Leary resigned after an 0-8 start, and they finished 0-12 that year. The very next year, they went 6-6, and then the very next year, they went 6-7, and then they went 13-0 and won the Peach Bowl, and they beat Auburn 13-0, and they declared themselves national champions, but it was kind of one of those things where like they just called themselves national champions and nobody else did. But he obviously was able to come in and make a quick turnaround and really, really improve that team. You expect that with Nebraska. Just for whatever reason, and I think if I had to put it on the blame, if I had to which one it is, I think it's the fact that they just haven't had experience an offense that wasn't led by Adrian Martinez. Your quarterback has a personality perspective on your team. He has a personality reflection on your team, and I don't know if it's a personality thing or if it's just an accuracy thing or it's a skill thing. But Adrian is solid, but just can't quite make that throw. Just can't quite put the ball there. Just can't quite make this play. They just haven't been able to do that. So I ultimately think that it is Adrian Martinez. I think that I want to see Scott Frost take this offense and truly be able to put his hands on it. You see this roster right now, and there are very, very young quarterbacks behind Adrian Martinez. So a lot of them are dual threat guys, but we'll see what they kind of turn into. So on the roster here, and then again, you'll see that Logan Smothers, he was a higher rated recruit, not super high. I think he was a 3-star. And then you have Spencer Arsenault, who's a freshman, and then Logan Smothers was a freshman. Heinrich Harbarg is a freshman. Jared Sinek is a freshman. So again, these 3 are Nebraska guys. No offense to people from Nebraska, but Nebraska is not known for pumping out top flight quarterbacks. You've got 2 Alabama guys, and then you've got Adrian Martinez, the guy from Fresno, California. So I think that I really want to see this team post Adrian Martinez. They've actually recruited pretty well. They've recruited, typically in about the 20s, the low 20s to maybe mid 20s, something like that, somewhere between, like 20 and 25. That's where the recruiting classes are. So they do a pretty good job there. But again, I think I want to see what Scott Frost can do when he has a true blank slate and he doesn't have to worry about the same quarterback every year. Because the thing with Adrian Martinez is, especially if you watch him, it doesn't look like he's progressed in 4 years. It looks like he's the same guy, the same abilities, the same accuracy, and everything like that. I really wish that he would have shown some improvement because it was, man, he was such a prized recruit coming in, the new coach, the homeboy from Nebraska. Scott Frost is the head coach, so, but it just never materialized. All right, guys, what do you think right now? Is Scott Frost doomed? Are they going to fire him? What do you guys think about the team? Do you think they have some hope for the future? I personally think that it's a big time program that can turn around quick. Whether or not they do, we'll see. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, anything like that. I really appreciate it. But I'll see you guys tomorrow for Raider Tuesday. I am out.